Planning is really about, I think, when you boil it down, is to maintain and create viable, attractive communities. Hi, I'm Richard Hall, and I'm Secretary of the Maryland Department of Planning. Our mission in a nutshell is smart growth. So what we do is we work with stakeholders, whether it's local governments, community groups, elected officials, the development community, in trying to encourage growth in smart growth areas in our existing communities, our towns, or cities, and trying to work with the same stakeholders to limit sprawl development and increase preservation, whether it's for agriculture and agribusiness as well as for environmental protection. Smart growth nationally and in Maryland is embedded in old city planning and land use planning goals primarily. However, over the last 10, 20 years, it's changed. Maryland has used the power of the purse and the power of the wallet to encourage development in our smart growth areas or growth areas, and to try to encourage preservation, environmental protection, and agricultural land preservation in our rural areas. We're densely populated, and where you have a growing state, we're projected to grow by 1 million new Marylanders in the next 25 years. It's extremely important that we grow smart in the state of Maryland. Urban planners, rural planners, regional planners, any kind of planner you're talking about in Maryland need to understand, and many already do, we sit in a crow's nest, if you will, here in the Maryland Department of Planning. There are very few entities like mine in the country. And so we're able to look at the whole state, and that's our job, to look at the whole state and break it down, but also look at the whole state at once, 30,000-foot view, if you will. And Maryland's becoming an older but more diverse state as well. So while we're seeing what many refer to as the baby boomer population increase, and as they continue as a group, a cohort, we say in the planning world, as they continue to age, we're seeing them move up as a group through the age distribution in the population. At the same time, they're majority white, and at the same time, those under 40 are majority minority. What that means is Maryland will be a majority minority state overall in 2020, in the year 2020 is our estimate. And that has a lot of implications. So while we're all, like I said, getting older, we're also getting more diverse. And that has a lot of important implications at the community, local level, and regionally as well, whether it's our education systems to make sure we're ready to teach different people from different backgrounds, whether it's racially, language. It also matters where people live and their expectations for living together. And most of Maryland's growth, as shown up in the last census, the 2010 census, was driven by foreign-born populations. So Maryland would not have grown overall much without foreign-born populations in the state. When you have a state, and certainly the communities therein, that are becoming much more diverse, that's a very viable and good educational opportunity to practice your craft, to learn how to work with a diverse set of stakeholders, because it's one thing to get everyone of one type of background, whether it's ethnicity or nationality, what have you, to thrive in one location. But when you mix that community, I think it makes it a stronger community, but also brings about some challenges in how you communicate and collaborate with the community, because you're dealing with a diverse set of people. So you've got to be able to learn to speak, communicate with, and actually build relationships with and the trust of a wide range of people, age, ethnicity, nationality, what have you, incomes as well, and also a diverse set of communities. I think it's important for those interested in pursuing a planning career is certainly to get a good planning education, And there's a lot of ways to do that. Also, internships and getting your feet wet, so to speak, because it is an extremely diverse profession. The bookends of planning, I think on one end, planning can be a lot like social work. On the other end, it's a civil engineer type look at things, and there's many things in between, what's the legal aspects, data analysis aspects of it. But I think it's extremely important to be able to have your eye on at least two levels. One is the broader level, so you see the broader trends and things, as well as being able to understand what these things mean when they land on the ground. So what it means when you're doing and pursuing planning policies or responding to planning issues at someone's home or their business, the street they live on. But you're also not getting overly focused on that at the expense of seeing what the bigger, broader trends are. And I think the latter tends to be, in my opinion, something that gets left behind so much. I think sometimes the planning profession gets focused on what the side yard setbacks are and what the exact height of a building might be, and can at times lose what's going on in the bigger picture. You know, how is our town, our community, our state, our region, or even our country growing? So you need to engage yourselves in a number of different activities and really reach out to different groups and get involved with some groups. Kind of go through your local governments, follow a local planning process, a local zoning update, or plan update, follow a controversial development project through the process, see what the local community groups are saying, see what the development community says. You can learn a lot from both of those groups, how they interact, what their positions are, and sort of try to put yourself in their shoes for a bit. This is a very exciting time for planning. I've been in the profession for 25 years, and we're seeing a lot of evidence that we're coming out of the recession. Certainly is a long way to go, but I think the nation has learned a lot from the recession, and many things that I'm sure you have seen in the press or other news media and conversations about younger population may not desire sprawl as much as the baby boomers did. And there's certainly been a broader focus and attention and desire to live in the cities and establish older communities. I think more and more people are recognizing that whether it's a first ring suburb, we might call it. Suburbs were built in the 50s and 60s. They have walkable communities, and certainly our older downtowns, whether it's Baltimore City or Rockville or Silver Spring or Cambridge or Cumberland, many other places in Maryland. And interestingly enough, even some of the new developments that are being built are trying to replicate, emulate some of those types of development patterns. So there's been a broader acknowledgement beyond just the planning profession that revitalizing our older communities, again, whether they're cities, towns, or even the older suburbs, is certainly something that's attractive. There's a lot of important reasons to do that. We don't have an acre of land to waste in Maryland. We don't have a community to waste in Maryland. We're a compact but growing state. So I think that's Maryland's future, and in many ways across much of this country, that's being recognized there as well.